Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Happy Wednesday, great girlfriends, and happy International Women's History Month. I hope this month you've had the privilege of celebrating women who have been history makers in our world, in our country, in your personal life. I'd love to see on Instagram, if you're tagging people, just highlight some of the people that have influenced and shaped the woman that you've become. And if you are a history maker, we'd love to know some of the ways that you're helping to change and shape history through the work that you do or through your personal life. If you're shaping your legacy in different ways, there's so many ways that we can influence and change the narrative for women and make history and create history on a daily basis. So I just want to celebrate each and every woman that is listening today. And thank you for listening and being a part of the podcast. And now, speaking of women who are doing amazing work, transforming lives and helping to shape us and keep us healthy and whole, my guest today is one of those women. Hello, Dr. Uma Naidoo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sybil. I'm so excited to talk with you. I appreciate the invitation.
Oh, it is a pleasure to have you on. You're talking about two of our very essential things here. We're talking brain health, we're talking food. And for every single listener, you're dealing with both of those on a daily basis without choice.
So true.
We are prayerfully living with a strong, healthy brain, and we are prayerfully eating great foods that help to support our brain health. But I want to get into your bio just a pinch, Dr. Naidoo, and then I want to help you, help me, and help us around our food choices and brain health. So if it's okay, can I just get into this super amazing bio?
Please.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because I read it and I was like, she's a whole star. I can't wait to talk to her. What a woman. So Dr. Uma Naidoo, Michelin-starred chef David Bouley described Dr. Uma Naidoo as one of the world's first triple threats in the food and medicine space. A Harvard-trained psychiatrist, professional chef graduating with her culinary school's most coveted award, and a trained nutrition specialist. Her nexus of interest have found their niche in nutritional psychiatry. Dr. Naidoo founded and directs the first hospital-based nutritional psychiatry service in the United States. Wow. She's the director of nutritional and lifestyle psychiatry at Massachusetts General Hospital and director of nutritional psychiatry at MGH Academy, while serving on the faculty at Harvard Medical School. Listen, you are so busy. She was considered Harvard's mood food expert and has been featured in the Wall Street Journal. Dr. Naidoo is also the national best-selling author of This Is Your Brain on Food. Dr. Naidoo, there's so much to say about the work that you do. First, I want to thank you. I want to thank you and celebrate you. And I want to know what you're eating, because you look amazing. And with this calendar of commitments that you have, I know that you are obviously making great choices in food.
Thank you for saying that, Sybil, and thank you for that kind introduction. You know, I want to be the first to just say, I am not a perfect eater. I wish I could say that I was. I shared before we got on that I'm traveling. And as a lot of people are now, as we kind of re-emerging and traveling much more for work. But I think what I've made peace with is that at any given time that I make a not great choice because I'm standing in the airport and I forgot to pack my healthy snacks, or forgot my water bottle somewhere or left it behind, that I can always correct at the next meal. And I think we need to give ourselves space to be able to do that, because I live that, and I'm always doing it myself.
I love that. I'm often talking to the great girlfriends about the power of resetting. That's like the greatest thing about falling is we get to choose to get up in whatever circumstance. And that's especially with food. We get so many new chances with food, right? Like throughout the day.
All the time, every day.
Constantly a new choice, a new moment, a new opportunity with the foods that we eat. And that is a gift. And I'm so grateful for that. I want to really dive into this because Dr. Naidoo, I'm hearing reports all over the news and reading a lot about the mental health crisis here in the United States. And as a nutrition specialist and a psychiatrist, I know that for you, that data looks like choices and triggers and symptoms and signs of things that me, a novice, wouldn't be able to see, but I'm experiencing through emotional reactions from people around me, or, there are so many incidents that are taking place. There's so many mass shootings. There's so much reactionary. There's so many happenings that are taking place right now, and I just want to know, what do you see versus what we're experiencing?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. And what I do feel and what I am seeing is a huge uptick in especially anxiety and mood disorders.
Mhm.
Um, Separate to that, I think we need to understand that COVID almost uncapped or uncovered a mental health crisis that was already there, but COVID caused it to worsen for a few different reasons.
Mhm.
Interesting research showed that even people who didn't succumb to a COVID infection or even experience the infection still had inflammation in their brain, which was showed on a neuroimaging study. What that taught me was that I need to be aware that even individuals who are seeing me or speaking to me who haven't had the actual infection may still be suffering and struggling. And I'm seeing that clinically. So, with long COVID, new diagnoses of depression, anxiety, extreme fatigue, brain fog, problems with concentration, and also new diagnoses in the general population of these conditions. So it's worsened. And unfortunately, I'm not saying that it explains the mass shootings, which are much more
Mhm.
nuanced and difficult and challenging to understand
Yes.
with so many different factors. But the everyday person and what they kind of living through and going through is hugely different than it was several years ago. And
Mm.
this is where I have to put in a vote for that power of food, as you spoke to, because people are waiting 8 weeks, sometimes longer, to see a therapist. So, what
Mm.
are the things you can do right now, here, today, if you're listening to us, and do, for your next meal? You actually have the power at the end of your fork. And I think if we paid attention to that, we could empower ourselves a lot
Mhm.
more. So,
Mhm. Have you, I'm sort of gonna dive into, like, your data and research. As you were talking, I was thinking about this. Have you seen any correlation between mood disorders or, um, mental health disparities and food deserts and poverty? Have you seen correlations there?
the research is there that if we are not nourishing our brains and we have access to less nutritious choices, that it does impact our brain. On the upside or the positive side of that, even individuals who have, say, at an early age or part of their lives had less access to healthy whole foods and maybe could only get more of the processed foods or even fast foods, that our brains can change, that we have the ability to eat, to engage in a less stressful environment, to eat healthier and sort of reduce any of those changes, because there is neuroplasticity in the brain. So there's
Mhm.
hope on the one hand, but on the other hand, if that's the environment you're facing, maybe one of the ways we can handle that is to teach people. I just recently did some research on dollar stores.
Mhm.
And the reason I did that is because sometimes they're spotted in different parts of America and they could be right next door to the fast food restaurant.
Mhm.
And while they
Right.
don't have the healthiest choices in food, they have some very healthy foods like canned sardines, canned salmon. They do
Mm.
sell foods like that. There's, of course, they're surrounded also by processed chips and snacks and cookies and things, but you can, on occasion, find these foods. So I think it's about finding our way to the choices that we have in front of us, which are definitely more challenging in some situations.
Mhm. Mhm. So now I want to bring it forward to our great girlfriends who are incredibly busy women. So many of them are wearing multiple hats, making food choices for their entire families, or often bonding over food with friends, um, and travel at high frequency for their careers because
Yeah.
they are such go getters. And they're out and about quite a bit. But also on the counter to that, we chatter a lot about brain fog. We chatter a lot about
Mhm.
fatigue. We chatter a lot about
Mhm.
aches in our bodies that we're experiencing way too young. Um, and we're chattering about weight that we just can't seem to shake because,
Mhm.
we're like, is it age specific? So we have all this chatter that's happening. So we've
Mm.
got this really great paper, on paper, these measures of success or wins, but
Mhm.
then in our physical beings, there's a lot of taxing and cost. What do you hear when I tell you that?
I hear what I hear word in my practice, but also what I'm hearing in the world. I get a lot of messages on social media and through my website, and this is something that everyone is experiencing. We're not alone, and
Okay.
in part, what I feel has been hard, even for me, is when you do experience success, it's harder sometimes to keep up with those everyday things that help to keep you steady.
Yeah.
And I've had to, at times in my career and my life, really relearn those things. One of the things I would say is it's not just one thing. Nutrition is a huge cornerstone and pillar of that because food fuels our body and our brain.
Yeah.
And if we are fueling it with foods that we either don't have access to or we just have access to, say, in the airport on the fly, and it happens to be fast food or
Mhm.
packaged processed foods, then we need to maybe step back a little bit from that and see how can we rethink this. So, firstly, it's an experience that a lot of, especially women, are facing because I think the success men as well. Success for many people means that you're traveling more, you're away from home more, fewer home cooked meals. Um, so how do we handle it? How do we think of it differently? For one for one thing, we need to plan more. Just a little bit of planning
Mhm.
for ourselves can help. We need to insert environmental ideas even in our home. That blend on the go for a smoothie you can pack, that
Yeah.
sustainable water bottle. Those on the day off that you have for a few hours in the week, it may be a Wednesday if you're a frontline worker and a nurse. It may be a Sunday if you're someone else. It could be any. But if you can put aside 2 to 3 hours even of meal prep, even if it's just two, maybe have spend some time ordering groceries so you don't have to be in the supermarket and you can do something else.
Mhm.
You may pay a little extra, but you get it, you have the groceries delivered, and then you prepare your food. So whether it's a smoothie for one day of the week, whether it's using a cupcake tray to make 12 mini frittatas instead of one big omelet, that you can cool and freeze so that you have something. Even if you're getting on an airplane, you can grab a couple of those in a little baggie and get on the plane because you have something to eat.
Mhm.
I think it's about finding those things that you almost have to do for yourself, and sometimes it takes practice, relearning, just to prepare the food. So food, and I love food, so I can talk about tons of ideas there.
Uh-huh.
But another part of it is just having some kind of mindfulness practice and something that you can do to relieve that stress. Maybe it's a breathing exercise, maybe it's a meditation app, maybe it's stretching, maybe it's kind of a sun salutation yoga that you can do in your hotel room, or getting on the treadmill when you arrive somewhere and doing a quick run so that you can expend that energy and lower that stress. Stress is almost to me, it's almost another vital sign that we should be checking on in people. So
Mhm.
handling your stress, planning your eating,
Mhm.
hydrating. Hydration, low, being dehydrated has been associated with extreme anxiety and also with low mood.
Mhm.
Packing in your leafy greens. Leafy greens are rich in folate, and low folate is associated with low mood. Research has shown that for decades. So just making sure that if you have to eat on the go, that you're having lots of leafy greens. Try not
Mhm.
to be drenching it in the ultra delicious creamy dressing, but if you can squeeze some lemon on it and
Uh-huh.
use a lighter vinaigrette, that's a really good base for your salad, for example. So spending time outdoors. 10 minutes of daylight gives you 80% of your vitamin D. Vitamin D in adequate amounts helps to offset mood and anxiety symptoms. So, sort of putting together your own plan that works for you on the go or in your busy life, even if you're working from home, that can be sustainable.
That's so good. So, y'all, I know we're leaping into spring and I'm so excited about it. So, I've been doing my spring cleaning, but I've also been doing my spring financial planning. And for me, that's looking at my financial decisions and going, what's in the best interest of myself and my children long term? Well, I'm super happy because it's the perfect time to take a fresh look at your financial planning. And if you've been meaning to get life insurance, but you've been putting it off, literally today is the day and now is the time. With Fabric by Gerber Life, it's quick and easy to help protect your family's future so you can get back to enjoying life. Fabric is so amazing, so simple to use with no frills, 30-day money back guarantee, and you can cancel anytime. What I love is that Fabric was designed by parents for parents to help you get a high quality, surprisingly affordable term life insurance policy in less than 10 minutes. You could be offered coverage instantly with no health exam required. It doesn't take a lot of time because who has more time, right? But what it does take is your attention to your financial future. I also love that life insurance has a bad rap, but Fabric makes it easy to apply with a seamless digital experience. It's online, right? So everything else is online. You're going to get your term life insurance online. And if you need extra support, Fabric's team of licensed insurance agents can answer all your questions along the way. So do like I did. Protect your family, protect your children, do some spring cleaning, and do some spring financial planning, right? Protect your family today with Fabric by Gerber Life. Apply today in just 10 minutes at meetfabric.com/greatgirlfriends. That's meetfabric.com/greatgirlfriends. MEET fabric.com/greatgirlfriends. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. I want to just kind of jump into fasting and intermittent fasting to find out your thoughts on whether or not, because if food fuels the brain and we're spending a portion of our day fasting, are we creating conflict in our body, or is it supporting a healthier, more holistic Sybil, calling for myself, or
Yeah.
or for any great girlfriend who you'll call yourself by name? But is it doing us is it serving us or not?
It's very much based on the individual for two reasons. Intermittent fasting doesn't work for everyone. It's slightly different in women. The fasting intervals are different in women. And paying attention to one's body intelligence and how one feels when one fasts is very key. The other factor is that nutritional psychiatry fasting does work for some of my patients. But these are the individuals who are not diabetic, because a low blood sugar is actually much more serious than a high blood sugar. So it's a careful
Mm,
consideration.
okay.
And the other thing is that how is it working in their sort of mental health plan? If they're taking, for example, medications in the morning and they have ADHD, may not be the best choice, because research has shown that having breakfast when you have problems with ADHD is extremely important.
Mm,
So it's very nuanced, is the short
okay.
answer.
Mhm.
Now, say you get up and you're just naturally not hungry, and fasting appeals to your body, so you're not getting up and you're desperate to eat something, and you find yourself comfortably eating at 11.
Mhm.
Work out with your physician a fasting window that works for you. So if that's 11 or 12, you have a fasting window during which you eat your meals, you eat your healthy meals, and then you kind of cut off at an earlier time in the evening so that you then end up fasting overnight. For some of my patients, that works well, and if they're successful and they're feeling physically okay and they're medically sound, they're actually tolerating and sometimes even see, especially if they're consuming healthier foods, plus exercising and improving their sleep, they notice an improvement of their focus, their attention, their brain fog. So it
Mhm.
can be very powerful, and the natural process of intermittent fasting actually helps brain and body heal. So there's
Mm,
another side to it that could be very powerful if it works for you.
okay. Okay, so that's something to consider, great girlfriends. It doesn't work for everyone. And though we can see all of these apps and tools that say, they're not there's it's not a one size fits all ordeal. We
It
really
isn't.
do need to
Yeah.
okay, so and would you suggest that people have an evaluation before they begin, like with a nutritionist to determine if it is a fit for them?
Yeah. I think it's really a good idea. They should be checking with their doctors, just in case, for some reason these days type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance are a big thing. Maybe
Mhm.
just have, your primary care doctor, your annual checkup, get some baseline blood tests, and
Mm.
speak to them about trying out a fasting regimen. And then if they approve of it, maybe work with a nutritionist or a
Mm.
dietitian, or health coach, who can help guide you as to what foods then to eat and what kind of time frame your fasting window should be. That can be super helpful.
That's good stuff. Okay. So I want to touch on vitamins and supplements for a second because,
Hmm.
um, if our food is not sufficiently providing nutritional value, then, we're told to supplement with vitamins. And
Hmm.
um, especially as, you progress in age and you start to have these premenopausal symptoms and
Yeah.
brain fog and all
Hmm.
and other neuro attached symptoms, we are sold more supplements. Are supplements even effective, Dr. Naidu? And then I want to ask another question attached to that is the IV
Hmm.
supplements. Are they, it's a trend, but are they effective?
Hmm.
Are they more effective than
Hmm.
actually taking pills? So
Hmm.
what's your take on that?
Sure. So let's start with just supplements by pills. We know that they undergo some testing and some oversight, but they're not FDA regulated. So they not don't go through as much rigor as say the medication that you take, even if it's an over-the-counter medication in the pharmacy. That being said, our nutrition, I started off this conversation by saying that none of us have perfect nutrition. There might be nutritional gaps that any one of us has. And that could be dependent on so many different factors. So, I'm always a test, don't guess. So if you're feeling like, I read something on the internet, I saw it on, God forbid, TikTok, which
Yeah.
sometimes the help. I'm on TikTok because I want to correct the messaging around mental health. So none of us has a perfect diet, and I'm always a test, don't guess person. So if you've noticed on, say, even a social media platform, hey, maybe I have those symptoms of, say, low vitamin D. I live in the far northeast most of my life, and many people are deficient in vitamin D because of the level of sunlight. So just having your doctor check that could be key. Or if you're not feeling good, have him or her check some blood tests to see what you might need. You may need a multivitamin, you may need vitamin C. Who knows? If you say on a plant-based diet, since you get a lot of vitamin B12 from animal proteins, you may need some form of supplement there to help you. So that's I do think there's a place for supplements in our lives because none of us eats a perfect diet, and to be honest, we're so stressed. Our lives are so stressed that you might actually need something. You may need help in that way. Well, that's a little bit different because I think that taking a pill and taking a supplement sometimes is hard for people because my patients do it for 2 weeks and then they forget. It's sometimes hard to do it. With IV supplements, they are a trend, but they can actually be very useful to people. If you're going in, you're getting assessed, and maybe you feel you need some hydration, or maybe you've been traveling and you're exhausted, you're that busy businesswoman and you're arriving and you just feel you could benefit from some of that. They do have someone assess you. Again, I wouldn't just go out and do something without checking with the doctor, making sure you have some medical contact involved. But the difference is that, in a pill form, you might be needing to take it per month. With an IV, it's a very quick infusion of the vitamins into your body, the hydration, the electrolytes into your body. So it's kind of part of it is the speed of access, the cost, making sure that you go to a place that's checking out your vital signs, asking your medical history and that kind of thing. So it's not just trendy; that there's actual medical care involved. Some centers, they'll actually do a medical visit with a nurse practitioner or a physician while you're there, depending
Yeah.
on the level of treatment. And those I feel more comfortable with because they're involving a whole medical team approach.
Mhm.
And the difference is it's a faster solution. to that supplement. It may not correct a problem. Say you have a vitamin D deficiency, you may need to be taking a vitamin D supplement over a period of time, and then your doctor rechecks your level. So
Mhm.
it's a slight difference there as well.
That's so helpful because I'll tell you on the West Coast, those the IV centers are everywhere,
Yeah,
and
I've heard
yeah,
that.
and I've actually done it a few times.
Yeah.
Um, I felt a surge in energy and focus and
Mhm.
clarity. I don't know if it was just me wanting to feel it or if I actually felt it, but
No, I mean, they're adding, depending on where you went. I don't know which
yeah,
solution you got, but I'm hearing this from my patients that, there are different combinations of things that can actually make you feel good. Sometimes it's just the hydration,
yeah,
especially in traveling, and that type of stuff, or whatever it might be. So I don't deny that people may
mhm,
feel really good. I just want them to, like you did, do it in a safe place.
yeah,
Get the advice as to which combination you may be needing. Get some blood tests when you need to from your doctor, that kind of stuff. So
mhm.
there's a place for it. I just what I don't want is you know people rushing out and doing it just because it's a trend. So
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, because we're not living out trends. We
we're
longevity
living
is not.
lives.
Yes,
We
that's
want to
right.
live long, healthy lives. With
That's
good
right,
brain
but it's
health. Yeah,
easy
yeah,
to be on social media and feel like I'm living out trends. I'm living, and that is not. We are
yeah.
going the long. We're playing the long game here. But what you've said is so valuable to me because in this conversation, you've reminded me that we can eat our way into anything, and we can eat our way out of anything. And when I start thinking of wanting to, my goal, Dr. Naidu, is to be 95 on the beach, healthy,
Love
in
that.
my bikini,
Love that.
running, and every time I see, a senior doing a marathon, or I just
Yeah,
recently
yeah.
saw a 90-year-old, I think, that completed a marathon. Eh,
Hmm.
I'm like, "I can do it. It's
I love
possible."
that.
But so I have
Love
to
that.
eat my way into that moment.
I
I have
think
to eat my way into the success of that moment, right?
I feel I completely agree with you, Simone. I commend you for that. We have to work toward that goal. We have to
Yeah.
incorporate it and have grace with ourselves. The thing I didn't say when we talked about supplements is um, you can't exercise out of a bad diet, and you can't supplement your way out of a bad diet. So it has to be
That's
that
good.
balance, this integrated approach, whether it's maybe you don't meditate, but maybe you have a mindfulness practice that works for you, or breathing exercise, or you
Mhm.
do qigong, or tai chi, something that kind of balances you out, or yoga. Maybe you're a spin class girl. Whatever works for you, do that and lean into it, and realize it's different for everyone. But having a long, healthy life is such an admirable goal to have.
Mhm.
And while we all have different genetics and environmental factors and stress, we actually also have the power to change some of that. Right? It's not just the world kind of influencing us. And that's why I love the power of nutrition, because we can make those choices different, and we
Right.
can plan better, and we can, and the weeks, I'll tell you, the weeks when I'm traveling and I'm planning better, I'm feeling better. I'm sleeping
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I mean, we're talking quality of life here, and that's the reason why we, go after things in our career, and we make these choices because we wanna improve our quality of life. Food has to be, I guess, the anchor in that process. And our relationship with food is everything. And I can say
yeah,
safely, Dr. Naidu, there have been so many times when my relationship was off track and I had to get back on my track because
yeah,
have the knowledge to do better. Now I have to apply that knowledge towards getting the results that I'm looking for. And then there's the bonds that you have, during the holiday season. I dove deeply into sweet potato pie,
yeah,
every pie, any cake, I was in it, I was
yeah.
there, and
Right,
and
right,
afterwards,
right.
I had to do a heavy cleanse because I knew
Mhm.
that I can't sustain that, and the sugar was in my system, and I was craving it. So, great girlfriends, I just wanted just to share my personal truth that, the power is that we get to make the new choice and reset, like you said at the top of the episode, when we recognize that our choices are not serving our quality of life and our long-term goals, we take the time to reset and we utilize the knowledge that we have or new knowledge, such as in your book, This is Your Brain on Food. It's a great place to start to get new knowledge around our relationship with food and our brain relationship with food.
Well, thank you for saying that, Sybil. And I understand that you have women tuning in from all over the world in your fantastic podcast. A few things that they should know that This Is Your Brain on Food has been published in 22 countries in 18 languages. So it's a national and international bestseller. So chances are, if you're overseas and you're not in the US where we are, that it's in your country, or you could always send my team a message and we'll find out for you. Because I do think that we need more solutions. And starting off with what we began at the beginning of this episode, people need more solutions, and food is a basic instinct. When we're born, what do our moms tell us, or what do we know about when we're born? The doctors want you to cry and they want you to eat. Those are two things. They want to make sure you're breathing. That's why you're crying. And your lungs are working and lungs are filling with air, but they also want to make sure you are fed. So it's a very primitive part of our lives, the primitive instinct. And it's one that we can hone. We can, like we train a muscle, like we exercise or do other things. Eating is not that similar, because we know we can do that to the brain. And food, we know through the gut brain connection, impacts the brain. So it's a very powerful tool that we have at the end of our fork. And we have that choice several times a day, depending on, how often you eat, what maybe you're fasting, or however you're doing it. We have the power. Unlike, when I write prescriptions for my patients, it's not easy to be on the receiving end of that, because you sort of have to think, well, now I've got to go fill this prescription and take this pill. Versus eating, we can choose to eat what we want when we want.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so true. It's the proactive space that we get to live in. Kind of fuels our life. I love that. So, okay, This Is Your Brain on Food can be found anywhere books are sold, correct?
Yes, it can.
Okay. And for those who want to keep up with you on social media, how can they DM you with questions, reach out, enjoy your TikToks, and learn more about the work that you do?
Thank you. So my handle is at Dr. Uma Naidoo, which is at DrUmanaidoo. But the best way to keep in touch with what exactly I'm doing is to subscribe to my newsletter, which is on my website at umanaidoomd.com, because I write in my newsletter every week my recent activities, my current publications. We've just released a brand new course at Mass General Hospital at Harvard for professionals to study nutrition and mental health and obtain a certification, which has never been done before in the world at an academic teaching hospital. So that's a really cool thing. But I announced it in my newsletter, and then after it went out to the people who follow me, then we posted it on social media. So it's the best way to find out about all the cool stuff I'm up to.
And your website is what's your website?
umanaidoomd.com.
Okay. umanaidoomd.com. Oh my goodness, Dr. Naidoo, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate your time and your work and your commitment to our brain health and our quality of life through food and nutrition. We need you.
Thank you, Sybil. Thank
doing the
you.
great work and giving us that great research and those insights so that we can continue to perfect our journey. So thank you so much for taking out your time to be with us today.
Thank you so much. And remember, we're in this together. So we're here to support each other and help one another out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sybil. Take care.
All right, great girlfriends. Did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_great GFS. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.